So we have today with us Reverend Terry Gamblin, who is a current school board member running for re-election. We're very pleased that you've decided to join us today. We appreciate the civic engagement of anybody who chooses to run for office, appreciate your service. And I'm going to turn it over now to Tara Barney for the conversation.
Okay. And I will reiterate Sally's appreciation of your service to this community. I want to just start out with kind of an obvious question. The pandemic has caused all kinds of different expenses for the school district and budget tightening. Could you just speak for a few minutes about your priorities, what you think is most important to protect in the whole budget funding space, and what sort of places you might see that we could save some resources if we have to?
Well, to be honest with you at this time, the most important thing is that everyone is going to school feeling safe. We have spent a tremendous amount of money trying to have everything there to at least keep it as safe as possible. We knew that when school opened, we were going to face some challenges that no one has ever faced before. We were going to be having to address issues, but even with the concerns for the teachers, so many of them, they are such wonderful, wonderful teachers, and we've got great people in our staff, but they were all going to be addressing issues they had never addressed before. And we've been addressed with an awful lot of questions as to how we can handle this, how we can do this. And you honestly have to take it a step at a time because it's just as new to us as it is to them. As far as to say, how can we go in our finances? I think that's a good question, but I don't know that anybody can give you an answer to that because we have talked it over and over and over again. We are so limited with state and federal finances, and we had to be out so many hundreds of thousands of dollars of getting our schools prepared for this year. And the needs that you have in a normal year are totally different than the needs we are facing this year. So for me to tell you we need to do this and put our funds there, I guess the first thing I would say, because I've dealt with this for so many years, before we can really tell you what we can do with funds, we've got to know how much we're going to have to work with.
Fair point.
And to tell you where the funds should go, we have also got to look and see what our schools need most. And I really feel it's going to be different this year than it has ever been before. So I think in everything we do, we have to be very cautious with. We don't need individual agendas. I'm sorry.
No, I cut you off. Sorry.
We don't need individual agendas. We need to be listening very carefully to our teachers and the faculty at the schools to see what we can do to help. As far as in finances, I guess one of the things I would say, we need more people, more staff in the schools because our teachers are having to face so many things that they're not having enough time for lunches. They're not having enough time to honestly have their planned periods and have any free time. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, you're not. It's your time. And no apologies, but I will say that we all appreciate the focus that you've all put on safety. And, I've been staying in close touch with Dr. Smith, and he tells me that the first few days are going pretty well, but there's nothing more important. So thank you for that effort.
Well, and we have to. And the thing that I'm really burdened about right now is we're still struggling with some of our teachers feeling safe. And we've got to do everything we can to try. We need our teachers so bad. You can't have a school without teachers. And we've got to do everything we can to make them feel comfortable.
Well, thank you for that. I think that's much, much appreciated and often can stand to be restated. So thank you. I want to ask you, we are looking at the future. There will be a future after COVID. And we know that High school graduation rates are important, and post-secondary credentialing is huge to meeting our goals for our region. If you could rewrite the education and workforce programs that you see coming from the state and other places, are there things that you think we could do better to help prepare our students for their careers?
We have always got to be looking, no matter what we do. I'll be honest with you, it's never enough. We've got to be looking at the needs of all of our students. I feel like we have added a lot of programs that are helping, but we've got, and I think we have started some things already beginning in the beginning at the elementary level. We have to have programs to meet the needs of the very struggling child. We have found out it does not work to try to start it at the end of the middle school or to start it in high school. And we've got to develop these programs, and also we've got to see in what areas can we help them to find a vocation that they will fit into, because everyone, honestly, when they graduate from high school, needs to have an area that they are ready to at least step out into and receive further training. The same goes for those that just like in the medical classes that we are having now out at our technical school, we always have to be looking to see what we can do and what we can bring in line for the advanced students too, because every student needs all the help that we can possibly give. And we are so fortunate. We've got so many that help us through all kinds of needs for our schools in helping train them. But to me, we're just at the beginning. We've got to go further every year. And I really feel that you're going to find something new every year that we can do that can help our children.
Thank you. That's great to hear. Another priority of the community, I think, is how we help to move more individuals in our region out of poverty. And the EVSC is such a significant provider of social services, often by default. But are there changes that you would see in program delivery that help really guide more families and individual students so they can better participate in their family and personal stability?
I honestly think some of those programs have been started over the last couple of years. And that was kind of what I was hitting on in the last part of the question. We have done so much research to try to find what we can do to help that struggling child and also that struggling family. And there's been a lot of things that have already started in the classroom, honestly, trying to work with them more on individual basis or even in small groups, trying to see what their weaknesses will be, also their strengths, and trying to build them up. Again, you cannot wait till they get to the high school level and start. By that time, that student has already matured. They've got their own way of thinking and doing things. We have to start out younger. And I think what we are doing is going to help that, because we've got to get them prepared. But again, you've got to start when they're young and not with just the child. You've got to start and help the parents.
Well, thank you for that.
We've got so many children just right out here where I'm blessed to be a pastor. I work with these kids in this neighborhood every week, every day. You've got so many children that their parents, if they're working, a lot of times the kids do not see their parents a whole lot. And we have to do everything we can to strengthen that home relationship, because those kids all need to be loved and they need to be cared about.
Well, thank you. And I certainly think we all support that, that priority for our children. I want to make sure there's a few minutes for you to tell us what your most significant interest is and what you have been championing and what you want to champion in your future term if you're reelected.
Well, I have been blessed. Of course, I've been on the board for many, many years. And to be honest with you, one of my first projects was try to bring all-day kindergarten into the school corporation. Does that tell you anything in itself?
Good for you.
I was very instrumental in helping with the technical center, getting it focused and being put out there where it is. I have been involved in so many different programs over the year, and it has really been a blessing. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. As far as the future, there are so many different areas that we are going to have to expand to meet the needs of these students. And I think the main thing that anyone in education is going to have to do is be broad-minded enough to look to the individual area and what does this group really need and how can we go about training them in that area? Because I think that is an area we've talked a lot about. And yes, we have started to work on some of it, but I really think we have just barely started because we've got so many areas that our kids can excel in. But in doing so, they need to have an open door to be able to step out and to learn those trades and to be able to use them to be successful.
Well, that certainly is good to hear. I think that it goes back to the earlier question I asked you about how we can make sure that more of our students move into being credentialed or have a path beyond high school. And
I understand that so well.
Mm-hmm.
I will be the first to tell you, I was a struggling student when I was in school. And I have learned from that to really, I've got a very, very compassionate heart for children in need and children that struggle. And I feel like each and every one of us are gifted with different talents. And what we need to do is seek out that God-given talent and to use it to the best of our ability. And don't let anyone at any time, anywhere, tell you that you're a failure. We are not failures. We are all gifts of God, and we need to be used by Him.
Well, that is a very appropriate comment from you, sir, and we appreciate your time. We will be posting this for all of our constituents and really for the whole community to see, because it's a different election year. We know you can't be out as much as possible, but hopefully these Zoom communications will be helpful.
Thank you for taking the time, and you're right, it is difficult. You can't go where people are. So I've said this whole campaign, what do you do? It's different.
Well, this is one way that we can acknowledge that your service matters and your willingness to run for office is a big deal to the business community. So thanks for taking some time with us.
Thank you so much. God bless. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Gamblin.